Yes, I will. Hello, everybody. My name is Théo, and I'm going to do my presentation. I do not have slides to show you, so you will have to bear with me and watch my face. So sorry about that. All right, let's start. How can public speaking improve your life? So first of all, I have a question for all of you. Have you ever met a politician? I mean, I'm not especially talking about an important one. It can also be like an amateur, an inspiring politician, anyone in the fields of politics. So I think some of you have probably already come across one of those people. And if you have, I think you'll know exactly what I'm talking about in the next 15 minutes. So when I was in high school, I wasn't really into all that stuff. I didn't care about politics. I didn't care about public speaking. I was more focused on hanging out with my friends, playing video games, just normal teenager stuff. But there was also one other thing that I was really interested by, and that was getting girls. Just like any teenager full of hormones, I wanted to get myself a girlfriend, of course. And it was even my priority for most of high school, to be honest. Well, unfortunately, I wasn't the best at seduction. Okay, I was actually really bad at it. But that's when I met a guy named Tom. So Tom was your average aspiring politician. He would always bring me and my friends to every political rally, every protest, like everywhere. We didn't like him that much because we thought it was, a bit much for us to go into political parties, HQs and everything. But, other people did. Tom was always surrounded by a group of people following him everywhere. They were like carrying his bags for him. They were tying his shoelaces, the stuff you see in movies. So even back then, I thought that was ridiculous. So, he was so average looking and uninteresting that I wondered why girls liked him so much. I was a bit jealous. Years later, it struck me. Life isn't about who you are. Life is about how you portray yourself. Now, by this, I don't mean that you should forge yourself a fake life or a fake personality. I mean that you should learn how to make yours seem more valuable. Tom was a boring guy, but the first time I met him, I was captivated by his presence, his charisma, his body language. Everything in the way he behaved and spoke was screaming, "I'm better than you." All of it came directly from how he spoke, how he, did his gestures and everything. He was always wearing a suit with a tie, which made it seem like everything he said was important. He spoke with many gestures, emphasizing every word. This was all some stuff that he learned practicing politics. Now, politics is all about coming off as a good person while being a bad one. It doesn't mean lying to people, of course. It means choosing your truth, and that's different. Now, if I were to introduce myself to someone I want to be friends with, should I rather say, "Yo, I'm Théo, I'm obsessed with Garfield and my best friend is my mom"? Or should I say, "Nice to meet you, I'm Théo, aspiring teacher and globetrotter"? Now, both of these statements are true, but one is more glamorous. Now, take that a step further. Let's say you're a CEO of a big company and you need to fire some employees. Instead of saying, "Hey, we don't have any money left, we're broke, we're firing all the old schmucks," you probably say something along the lines of, "We think that it is time for our most loyal and valued employees to get the opportunity to spend more time with their families." And that's the power of public speaking. You can go around negative things and make them positive. It's not lying if you're technically telling the truth. Another good example would be a job interview. So, I'm French, and last summer I applied to work at a cheese shop, of course, because I'm French. Well, during the job interview, I was asked, a question we've all heard about, and it's the world famous, trickiest, most annoying job interview question ever. What is your biggest weakness? How is anyone supposed to answer that question? I have no idea. So was I supposed to say, "Well, let me tell you, I'm just here to make a few bucks, and I couldn't care less, so I'll probably be slacking off in the back of the shop most of the time. No, of course not. So I said, well, I've been told that I'm a bit hyper, I'm a bit all over the place. I always want to do many things at the same time, but I've learned that I can't always do everything. So I've had to learn how to be well organized. Bam, you were expecting a weakness. Take that. In the end, I got the job and I spent most of the summer slacking off in the back of the shop. The point being, learn how to sell yourself. You need to be able to pick up on context clues when you speak. If you want to make friends with someone, it's better to come off as a person who's relaxed, chill, than someone who's annoying. If you want to seduce someone, it's better to come off as caring, and it's even better to actually be caring. If you want to be hired, it's better to come off as hardworking than lazy. You can achieve all of that only by introducing yourself. And then you can expand on it throughout the conversation. Public speaking is not only about making big speeches in front of an audience like I'm doing right now. It's also about choosing your arguments and expressing yourself in the most fitting way. Part of it implies knowing what your audience expects from you, of course. It can be tricky at first, but how you can get into that is by starting with a very general approach. For example, like, if you're talking to someone that you absolutely have no clue about who they are, it's the first time you ever meet them, you can say very broad questions like, oh, what do you do for a living? Hey, like, what's your name? What's your favorite color? Very broad stuff. And then, as they tell you more and more about themselves, you can slowly adapt to who you're talking to. Now, going deeper, if you really want to impress, you have to know how to break these boundaries. Notice how, like, my speech had some serious moments up until this point, and it also had some wacky moments where I tell some funny anecdotes. Well, that's normal. I built a more familiar context with you guys as time passed, allowing me to tell you all these little anecdotes. Something else public speaking can do for you is improve your confidence. Now, our previous speaker, Samuel, had a great speech about that. But when you know that you can sell yourself, you become more and more confident. You hesitate less when talking, and all of this becomes automatic. At some point, you don't even have to prepare before talking. In my opinion, improvisation is a great way to train your public speaking abilities. Now, to improvise, you don't even have to join a comedy club or something like that. We all improvise every day in all of our conversations. But improvising in a speech, that's something else. That's more complicated. But once you've done it a few times, well, you can virtually get out of any situation by improvising. Your confidence will rise and you'll get even better at it. It's a virtuous cycle. It could also get you out of trouble, I have an anecdote for that, actually. It was when I was around 15 years old. Me and my friend, we went into a convenience store. We wanted to get some snacks. We went around the shop a few times, but everything was really, really expensive, as everything in France is. So we decided to leave and go to another shop instead. But as we were about to come out of the shop, the owner stopped us and he accused us of stealing. I hadn't stolen anything, so, I was taken aback by that. I didn't know how to get out of that situation, really. I was panicking. The owner was also threatening to call the police, so I did the only thing I could. I improvised. I told him that I had no reason to steal anything, that he could look into my bags and pockets if he wanted, that if he found anything that could be stolen, I would pay for it. And also that me going around his shop without buying anything didn't mean I had stolen anything. I had the right to do so. So, of course, he let us go in the end. But, by remaining calm and using arguments instead of getting upset and panicking at his accusations, we avoided more trouble. And after we walked away from the shop talking about how close we were to getting in trouble, well, my friend started taking snacks out from his jacket, of course. Well, I unintentionally defended him on this one, but still, I also saved myself from a situation I wasn't even aware of. But this situation improved my confidence. I was convinced that I could talk my way out of anything after that. Yeah, it's easy to get a bit too confident with speaking. But, just as you're surfing on the wave of self-confidence, you will encounter something so fearful, so dreaded, that it will make you come all the way back down, destroy your confidence, and bring you back to the depth of doubt. I call this thing the walls. Now, what do I mean about the walls? Well, they are a very particular category of people. I'm sure all of you have encountered one of them at least once. You may even be one of them yourself. Now, no shame in that, of course, but you should probably question yourself if you're a wall. Now, you may be asking, and you may be scared, like you may be asking yourself, am I a wall? What even is a wall? Let me explain. A wall is a person who will not concede to any argument. They will never admit that you are right. And of course, they will never admit that they are wrong. You can tell them literally anything. They will always find a way to deny it. I've met many of those people in my life, but the best example of a wall I've ever met is my dad. He always had a counter argument to mine, and they got pretty absurd sometimes. He would just say random stuff that made no sense. So, when he knew I was right, he would just say something so completely wrong and far-fetched that it would infuriate me enough to make me stop debating. It was the most annoying thing in the world for an entitled teenager like me. It took me years and years of frustration, but after a while, I finally found the magic tools to break down walls. The agree to disagree. This thing is amazing. You can use it in any situation with anyone. So, for example, when my dad would bring up a counter argument that I had nothing to fight with, I started agreeing with him. Even though it wasn't my opinion, I started saying, yeah, you're right. And you know what? That robbed him of the satisfaction of victory. He didn't feel like he was winning the argument anymore. And arguing with me felt so disappointing to him that in the end, he eventually did it less. Now, this strategy is easy to do. You just need to agree with your opponent, and that's literally it. This works really well if you don't especially care about the opinion or the outcome of your conversation. But you have to be careful. Things could be at stake in your debate against the wall. And if they are, it's better to try and reach a compromise instead. You also have to be careful of something I call super walls. Yes, that's a thing. I just made it up, so it's a thing. Like super walls, I guess they're kind of just like walls, except even when you do the agree to disagree strategy, well, they get the feeling that they won. So, I hate those. But honestly, with these people, I think it's no use debating whatsoever. There's another thing public speaking can do for you. Have you ever met the fearsome creature that they call a child? Yes, I'm talking about those little human goblins that run around and that are very loud. Well, do you know that aside from pooping themselves, they have another great skill? As incredible as it sounds, children are masters in negotiation. Think about it for a second. They use everything you can learn in public speaking class, and they do it even better than you. Yes, even better than you. Here's the situation. Let's say you own one of these creatures, one of these children. Your little gremlin wants a snack. He comes up to you and he politely asks you for a cookie. Oh, can I have a cookie, please? What's happening here? The child knows the boundaries of your relationship with him, and he uses them to ask you for something. He uses respect. Let's say you refuse him the privilege of cookie possession. What will he do? Oh, he's doing a cute little face. Devious creature. He's trying to buy you with body language. That will not work on me. You're not getting any cookies. That should stop him, right? No, of course not. The child now enters a cookie-craving filled rage and starts crying and screaming. You're surprised by his reaction. He just broke the boundary of your relationship by throwing a tantrum. That still won't work with me, you little thing. I have a degree in childrenology. I'm keeping these cookies. What's our youngling doing now? Oh, he's crying in a corner. You know what? I actually feel bad for reacting that way. I mean, he only wanted a cookie and I started overanalyzing everything once again. Here you go, child, take a cookie. What? What's that devilish smile on your face? You want another one? Oh no, I got tricked. It was emotional leverage all along. Children are fantastic. We can learn so much from their petty tactics in negotiation. Am I saying you should throw a tantrum when your boss denies you a raise? No, of course not. But think more metaphorically. The child's simple actions are enough to make even the most resilient adults break and give them what they want. What they teach us is that sometimes simplicity is enough to negotiate. You need to emphasize your emotions. You need to play with unexpected reactions. Of course, all within the limits of your boundary with the person you're speaking with. Children are great teachers, but they are also limited by their youth, and able public speakers know their tactics and know that they're just trying to get what they want. To conclude, life is all about knowledge. Learn from politicians, learn from thieves, learn from walls, learn from children. Public speaking is a great tool and can make you more attractive, more confident, more hired, and freer. If you know how to talk to people, how to make them hear and listen to what you have to say, you will greatly improve your life. Those are vital skills that can help in any situation. Thank you all for listening to my first speech ever. I'm Théo Gaston. And if you have any questions, ask away. Oh, well, I guess we can move on to the next one then. Thank you everybody for listening once again.